Oh, yeah. Nothing like the first couple sips of coffee on a beautiful Wednesday. Thank you for joining me. It is December 9th, 2020. My name is Al Gavada, and I appreciate you for checking this out, whether it's live or on a replay. And I would appreciate if you would share the video because other people need to see what we talk about every time we do a Facebook Live. We try and spread some positivity, some positive messaging, and that's always a good thing, right? It's better than the alternative. So I'd appreciate if you hit that share button, make a comment, do a like. I'd appreciate that. And today we are speaking on giving. Today we're talking about giving, and it's let me share the link here on the article that we're going to be talking about today from success.com and Lydia Sweat on 15 inspiring quotes about giving. I glanced at the first couple of them and starting off the right way. Starting off the right way in the type of mindset when it comes to it. So the article starts like this: one of the best feelings in the world is giving. The positive energy is contagious. With just one act of kindness, you can inspire others to go out and plant seeds of happiness through giving too. Your greatest gift is the ability to share your blessings. It's what makes life meaningful. Remember what it means to be a giver with these 15 thoughtful quotes. And it's cool because the way she starts her article, this one in particular, but others usually, kind of aligns with how I feel when I do these type of videos, excuse me. And that mindset, of trying to do something positive and be the antithesis of the negativity in the world to provide on an alternative, right? So let's start off. The first one is from Anne Frank, and it's a very powerful quote. There's no it's simple and powerful. No one has ever become poor by giving. Now, if you are of the mind of saying, well, if you give everything away, you are poor. Now you're thinking materialistically, right? If your focus is on materialism, you're going to see a lot of things as poor. You're going to see a lot of people as poor if your focus is on materialism, right? If we're talking about the human condition, if we're talking about being poor as a human being, as a person, being poor in that sense, no one has ever become poor by giving of themselves, giving of their time, giving of their counsel. Has anybody ever come to you and just, it's like, man, I need to talk to somebody? Has anybody ever said that to you? Have you turned them away? Have you welcomed them and say, hey, what's going on? How you doing? What's up? And by giving them that out, by giving them that opportunity to share their troubles with you, you just became so much more valuable in that person's life. You just became a significant part of their ability to unload the load that's on their shoulders. And that giving of yourself in that way is so huge. Many people kind of shy away from that. So, I don't want to take on anybody else's issues, anybody else's problems. I've got my own. Absolutely. But we can put our own situation, our own emotions, and our own thoughts aside. I'm not saying don't ever think of yourself and don't ever take care of yourself and your emotional needs and your spiritual mental needs, things like that. But there is an opportunity to be that for somebody else without sacrificing anything of yourself. You're giving of yourself. No one has ever become poor by giving. And Frank. The next one is from H. Jackson Brown Jr. It says, remember that the happiest people are not those getting more, but those giving more. And you're going to find this common thread. You're going to find this thread in a lot of these posts where it's just going to be a reinterpretation or a reintroduction of what it is to give and how that correlates to happiness, how it correlates to satisfaction, that spiritual satisfaction that you get when you give something to somebody without asking for anything in return. And I'm probably going to fall back on this a couple times during this discussion today, is it's not necessarily about material things. Remember that the happiest people are not those getting more, but those giving more. And you see people who give of their time and give of their, um, their energy, just being there, being a part of it, being a helper. Like somebody once said, in times of disaster, was it? I'm not sure if it was Mr. Rogers. Said in times of disaster, don't look at the disaster. Look at those who are helping. Look at the helpers. Look for the helpers. And there's always people helping, willing to give. Why do they give? Why does somebody give of themselves, even though they may not be having the easiest life? Sometimes giving of yourself is a relief, and letting go of some of that stress that you have in your life, you are acquiring through situations or, circumstance. So think about that one. Remember that the happiest people are not those getting more, but those giving more. H. Jackson Brown Jr. The next one is from Eleanor Roosevelt. Since you get more joy out of giving joy to others, you should put a good deal of thought into the happiness that you are able to give. What quantifies happiness? It changes throughout your life. Happiness for a child is you giving them attention when your child comes up to you and says, "Look, mom, look, dad, look what I can do." They want your attention. They want your validation. They want your love. They want your positive energy and encouragement. And you're giving them joy. Since you get more joy out of giving joy to others, you should put a good deal of thought into the happiness that you are able to give. Everyone is able to give happiness. In that situation with children, you giving them that positive reinforcement, just giving them that attention, just kind of giving your spotlight to them and allowing them to be who they are at that moment, who they want to be at that moment. You're giving them so much joy, and in return, that joy just flows back into you. Sometimes I have to catch myself where it's like I'm doing something, I'm reading something, whatever, and my daughter comes up, "Dad," I'm like, "Hang on," and I have to catch myself. You know, those moments aren't there long. I have to make sure that I give my attention to her and uh, my positivity to her, so she doesn't feel neglected. She doesn't feel like I'm ignoring her, and that goes for adults too. There's someone in your life that comes to you and say, "Hey," and you see some sort of level of, higher energy in them that they want to share something with you. If you shut them out, you don't know if they're going to come back to you in the future to share with you, to share their joy. You know, if it only takes a moment. It only takes a moment. Since you get more joy out of giving joy to others, you should put a good deal of thought into the happiness that you are able to give. Eleanor Roosevelt. Let's see here. Next one. Orson Swett Marden says, "We must give more in order to get more. It is the generous giving of ourselves that produces the generous harvest." See, as I'm reading these quotes are all cut from the same cloth. They're just different people cut out the shape they wanted, that they needed at that time. It's the same cloth. Giving more to get more. Giving more of yourself to get more satisfaction, to get more joy, to get more peace of mind. I don't know. More stability in yourself. You know, if you're constantly bombarded by negativity, or you feel like you're wallowing in negativity, and giving of yourself a little bit gives you some positive energy in return that can help dissipate the negativity inside you. We must give more in order to get more. It is the generous giving of ourselves that produces the generous harvest. Orison Swett Marden. It's like they say, planting seeds, right? Planting seeds for relationships and cultivating relationships. You see all these gardening terms, you know, when we talk about relationships, we got to water and feed that relationship, you got to cultivate it, you know, do away with the, yeah, pull the weeds out of there kind of thing. Keep it clean, make it grow, help it grow, growing a relationship. Next, it is from Winston Churchill, Sir Winston Churchill. We make a living by what we get, we make a life by what we give. That's pretty good. We trade our time for money, we trade our time for something of value. And what do we give? We make a life by what we give. If we can give more value in someone's life by being that person who isn't a drain on them, but actually makes them feel better and, makes them enjoy life more instead of more of the same that they're dealing with, it's a plus. It's a plus on them and it's a plus on us. It's a win win. We make a living by what we get, we make a life by what we give. Winston Churchill. Charles Dickens. No one is useless in this world who lightens the burden of another. That's exactly what I just said. That's exactly what I just said. Taking off some of the pressure, the negativity, not only on someone else, but someone doing it to you. Has someone come into your life and, hey, you're looking a little down. What's going on? And you kind of unload. You're literally use that term. You're unloading on them. Let me help you take the load off. Oh, man. I need it. Sometimes you just need to talk. This weekend when we went to the men's boot camp, there was a lot of that. My brother Joe and I, we it was a beautiful. I think it was Saturday night, and it was beautiful above. The stars were out. We saw a shooting star, beautiful and bright, and gone. I saw a quicker one a little bit later, but being out there, we were in the dark. We were just standing there. It was cold, and we're looking up at the stars, and we're talking. We're talking about things that were weighing heavily on our mind, weighing heavily on our heart, and just sharing that, having somebody to share that with, lightens the load. It gives you a little respite from what you're carrying. It's like if it's almost like you're carrying all your groceries in, and somebody comes in, oh, hey, let me get this for you. Oh man, thanks. My fingers were about to go numb. They're turning white. No one is useless in this world who lightens the burdens of another. Charles Dickens. Next one. Classic. St. Francis of Assisi. For it is in giving that we receive. I mean, how much further back do we need to go for this message? Was this where the cloth was formed? Was this? I mean, I'm sure there's more instances further back of that cloth that we were talking about. For it is in giving that we receive. And St. Francis, that's like his thing, right? And I'm looking for the prayer of St. Francis. And that's what he talks. Says, look, says, Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there's hatred, let me sow love. Where there's injury, pardon. Where there's doubt, faith. Where there's despair, hope. Where there's darkness, light. Where there's sadness, joy. O divine Master, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive. It is in pardoning that we are pardoned. And it is in dying that we are born to eternal life. Amen. That's the prayer of St. Francis. And that's what we're talking about, giving of ourselves. You don't have to give 100% of yourself, but even if you do, you're going to be refilled 100% plus. I mean, yes, I understand you can only get filled to 100%. I get it. There's only 100%, right? But don't think that the what you have to offer, your empathy, anything like that, that it has a limit. It doesn't. There is no limit. And we need to realize that it's not finite, our resources of being able to give, of being able to be there for someone. It's not finite. It's eternal. For it is in giving that we receive. St. Francis of Assisi. Next one, Ben Carson. Happiness doesn't result from what we get, but from what we give. Again, same thing, same message. Giving. We give, we receive. We're not giving to receive. We're not giving with the expectation of receiving something in return. And sometimes those are some of the wounds that we carry. Maybe we gave without expectation consciously, but subconsciously we were expecting something in return. We were expecting acknowledgement, at least. We were expecting gratitude. A simple thank you. How many times have you heard that? A simple thank you would have sufficed. Those are wounds that we carry. And I think if we become aware of those wounds, we can deal with them. And we're not going to be wounded. It's like if we don't deal with them, we're always picking at that scar, picking at that scab, And it's always going to be there. It's always going to be a fresh wound because we don't let it heal. We don't address it. We don't fix it. Happiness doesn't result from what we get, but from what we give. Ben Carson. Next one, Albert Einstein. It is every man's obligation to put back into the world at least the equivalent of what he takes out of it. That just means don't be a taker, right? I mean, to me. And it seems like the level of thinking developed by the person originating the quote shapes the words and the terms, the terminology used to put their idea forward. It's like we're talking about the same message, like I said. In Albert Einstein, is like it is every man's obligation to put back into the world at least the equivalent of what he takes out of it. Don't leave voids of what you have taken and not return. Don't leave emptiness for others seeking for what you were able to take, what you were able to utilize in your life. It's every man's obligation to put back into the world at least the equivalent of what he takes out of it. Albert Einstein. Pablo Picasso. The meaning of life is to find your gift. The purpose of life is to give it away. Wow. All right, that's not a shallow one right there. that's not a simple throwaway line on that one. I apologize to everyone who hates slurping. It's just the coffee's hot. So let's think about this one for a bit. The meaning of life is to find your gift. Is that where we find our meaning? Finding what we're meant to do. What are you good at? It seems like when you talk to kids these days, I know with mine, it's like, oh, I want to be, and you see whatever's popular at the time. Whatever's in the zeitgeist at the time. And it's, oh, I want to be a YouTube star, or I want to be a gamer, and I want to be a TikToker, or whatever. It's whatever's current at the time. I want to be an astronaut during the space race. I want to be whatever it is. Finding the meaning of life. The meaning of life is to find your gift. So What is your gift? Sometimes we feel we have a gift. Okay? If you feel you have a gift, if you feel you have a gift for cooking, writing, art, I go to these first because I'm the creative, I'm in the creative type of realm thought, right? But what if you're like an organizer, an empathizer, a leader, just a natural leader? What is your gift? The purpose of life is to use it, give it away, give your gift away. It's not saying do everything for free. It's not saying that. Nowhere does it say don't get paid for what you do. Nothing. But I just think it doesn't have to be the main thing. It's like I'm not going to do it unless I get paid. You know, I've been asked to do stuff like I've been in the communications, public speaking, whatever type of field for 30 years, 30 plus years. And I've done a lot of things, voluntarily. Other times, like, hey, can you do this for free? I'm like, wait, hang on. It's like, is it a free event? Well, no. It's like, so why am I going to be free? If I'm going to be doing something and I do it professionally and I do it well, I also need to get compensated. But that doesn't mean I'm not going to give of my time whenever I feel like it. If I want to give my time to somebody, give of my time, give of my skill, give of my gift, that's my decision. What's your gift? And are you utilizing it to make the world a better place? Don't discount whatever gift you have. I know some friends of mine are really great at knitting. It started as a hobby, I'm sure, but then they found out they're really good at it. So they'll knit like caps, scarves, or whatever, and they'll donate them, and that's awesome. The meaning of life is to find your gift. The purpose of life is to give it away. Pablo Picasso. John D. Rockefeller Jr. Think of giving not as a duty, but as a privilege. Now, we're talking about John D. Rockefeller Jr., the Rockefellers, obviously. We're talking about massive titans of industry. The J.P. Morgan and the, Rockefellers and these guys, Carnegie. So they had these massive resources, right? And now you see some of the titans of industry in our age, the Buffetts, the Gates, and all these guys that are saying, I'm going to pledge $1 billion, or I'm going to pledge, 90% of my fortune to give it away, Think of giving not as a duty, but as a privilege. Now, that being said, we're talking monetarily, right, with them, but that doesn't apply to all of us. What if we barely have enough to get what we want, what we need, what we want to give our families, what we want to do for our families, make sure our financial house is in order, things like that. But that's not necessarily what we're talking about. It may apply to more people who have more resources than you. But then we also go back to the widow giving the majority of what she had, as opposed to the rich man barely giving anything. It's not necessarily about money, but it also has to do about what we have. Going back to about what Pablo Picasso said, finding our gift and then giving of our gift. Think of giving not as a duty, but as a privilege. I have a privilege to be able to do this, to go live. I've done these Facebook Lives with 0 viewers, and it doesn't matter to me. When I have viewers, I appreciate you, and I thank you. And if you could share my video, I'd appreciate that, because more people need to hear this type of message. That's why you should share it. But I don't do it for that. I just want to share it, so just in case somebody runs into this and I'm able to make some sort of positive difference in that one life, it was worth it. It was my privilege. And that's awesome. Just thinking about that. Think of giving not as a duty, but as a privilege. John D. Rockefeller Jr. Maya Angelou. I have found that among its other benefits, giving liberates the soul of the giver. See, different words, same idea, same concept, different life experiences, different words to utilize to get the message across. But in the case of Maya Angelou, poet laureate, of the United States, um, she gives it another. It's more of a. The insight is a little more subtle, right? Now she's talking about the soul. I've found that among its other benefits, so there are other benefits to giving. Giving liberates the soul of the giver, fills, I would argue, fills the soul of the giver with goodness, fills the soul of the giver with joy. And it doesn't have to be defined what you feel when you give without expecting anything in return. It doesn't have to be defined, the feeling that you get. But you know it's there. You know that by giving, there's something going on with you that is positive. You're getting something in return without asking. And that's all universal stuff, you know? The stuff of the universe that I love, that I know, and I you know, you can say God, and that defines it. I say God, yes. I just don't think it's just God, you know? I mean, not that there's more than God, right? But it's like God and the universe, you know? God created the universe because he wants us. Yesterday, as a matter of fact, I shared with myself a quote that actually kind of fits perfectly right here in this moment in time, in this particular discussion. It fits in this one. And I just need Facebook to load. And it's taking its moment. There you go. So it said, and oh, I shared it yesterday on my page, and that's where it was. It was on my page, and it said something like this. Let me see if I can have it load up here. It says, oh, and I did go on the wrong one. I apologize. It says, if I could find it. All right. I'm taking my time just to find it. Yeah, I can't find it there. Okay, I think I sent it to me on Messenger. So I apologize for the delay. Okay, here it is. It says God, right? We're just talking about God right now. God, the one substance, which is like in everything, permeating through the empty spaces and everything around it. God, the one substance, is trying to live and do and enjoy things through humanity. He is saying, I want hands to build wonderful structures, to play divine harmonies, to paint glorious pictures. I want feet to run my errands, eyes to see my beauties, tongues to tell mighty truths, and to sing marvelous songs, and so on. So that is that gift, right? That is the meaning of life, finding your gift. And the purpose in life is to give it away, right? So I have found that among its other benefits, giving liberates the soul of the giver. Maya Angelou. We're down to the final three. Final three. Mahatma Gandhi. The best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. Some don't have the opportunity to live an entire life of service, but don't discount your ability to serve someone in a microcosm, you know, in a minute way to you that is massive to them. Don't discount that fact. Don't devalue that fact that who you are, what you bring to somebody in one single moment could have immense impact in that person's life. Again, just asking somebody, how are you doing? You know, think about when it's happened to you, when you have been in your lowest, because the human existence has highs and lows. Just a whole human experience. So remember at one point in your life that you were low and somebody reached out and asked you, are you okay? What did that mean to you, to the person doing the asking? Just asking, are you okay? It was just three words. Three words and a question, right? To you, it could have been, it's like a rescue boat after being in the middle of, lost in the middle of the ocean for an undetermined amount of time. Something massive to you, even though it's just a simple question. So don't discount what kind of impact you could have on somebody just by giving of yourself one time. The best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. Now you start finding out more about yourself when you serve others. If you've ever served others, you find out more about yourself. It's insight into yourself. That was Mahatma Gandhi. Dorothy Day. The best thing to do with the best things in life is to give them away. Okay. What are the best things in life? Some have said the best things in life are free, right? So we're not talking about, oh, I have the latest car, the most biggest, beautifulest house. I have the latest, greatest phone, whatever. It's not about that, right? The best thing to do with the best things in life is to give them away. So what are the best things in life? Happiness, joy, understanding, your gift. If you have a gift, if you found that gift, if you found the meaning of life to find that gift, right? If you found that gift, are you sharing it? Are you giving it away? It goes hand in hand, this one, with the other one. The meaning of life and the purpose goes hand in hand. Giving the best things in life away. Are you giving of yourselves? Again, goes right back to Mahatma Gandhi and others. The best thing to do with the best things in life is to give them away. Dorothy Day. Very nice. Last one. Booker T. Washington. This is literally the repetition of another one we had earlier. Those who are happiest are those who do the most for others. Those who are happiest are those who do the most for others. And that was literally this one up here. Where is it? Remember that the happiest people are not those getting more, but those giving more. Same thing. Same thought, different words, different experiences, different lives, different upbringings, different relationships, different friends, different enemies, different education, different thought patterns, different personalities. Same exact thought. How pure and true is the thought if it is universal? You can't get much purer or more universal than this. Those who are happiest are those who do the most for others. I'll give all of myself away. There's nothing left. There's more. There's more to you because you are never ending. You're a child of God. You're special. You matter. You're important. You impact people's lives. You need to realize that. I'm telling you that that's what you are. You impact people's lives. You change people's lives for the better. Even if it's in one single interaction that you had with somebody. That person I never met. I may never ever meet that person. I haven't met them in the last 50 plus years of my life. Who's to say I'm going to meet him for the next 120 years of my life? I don't know. You met that person. You said the right words to that person, not me. The universe put that person in front of you and made you notice something in them that called you to ask, called you to say something. Are you okay? Everything happened for you to make a difference in their life. You matter. You touch lives. You are beautiful, and you matter. You're valuable to me. You're valuable to the world. You matter. We give of ourselves to make the world a better place. There's plenty of takers, and don't worry about them. Look for the helpers. Look for the helpers, right? 15 inspiring quotes about giving. Great article. It's listed there in the comments if you want to check it out for yourself. I thank you for hanging out with me today. I appreciate you sharing it because people need to hear this message. I appreciate you. Thank you for watching it, and I hope you learned a little something about yourself. I just love hearing new quotes that I may not have been familiar with before, and I hope you do too. I hope to be back on Friday at 8 a.m. together. I've been asking people to give me words they live by. I don't know if I can tackle those because there's some really good ones. Maybe in the future I'm going to put together a list of the ones they shared and do a live on those. There's some really good ones. I really like them. So that'll do it for today. Until Friday, God willing, we'll be talking.